Okay, so here we are today, and we are going to have a conversation to kind of just set the foundation for health. At Conversion Fit, you're a gym, you focus solely on fitness while we're there. Granted, we have these conversations about nutrition, health, things like that.
Yes.
But this conversation, we want to just kind of take people back to the basics, lay that foundation, because even though these answers that you're going to give, I know are probably going to be very commonly understood by the mass general person, it doesn't necessarily mean they're implementing it. So we want this conversation to kind of be like that refresher, reminder, foundations of health.
Yes, ma'am.
So let's just dive in. Let's just start with your number one. What would you say is the first foundation of health in your book?
What we consume in our bodies. Nutrition, I'd say. Number one, we need food. We need fuel to do anything in life. And so kind of the number one for me is just food and what we eat.
Do you have any tip or general way that someone can look at food and know if what they're eating is healthy or not?
I can give you some generic guidelines. For me, I would say mostly whole foods and as little processed foods as possible. What I mean by that is mostly, if you go to the grocery store, on the outside of the aisles, that's usually where I would recommend going. And then some other guidelines I'd say is make sure you're getting in protein, make sure you're getting in healthy fats, and then getting some fiber in from fruits and vegetables.
Those are really good tips.
Lastly, I'd say most of your food should not have a label on it.
Okay, that's a really good tip too. So basically just, like you said, when entering a grocery store, everything on the outside is all fresh whole foods.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and all those aisles is where everything has the food labels on them.
Correct. All the foods that are chemically engineered for you to like them and want them more.
Yikes. Okay, so those are things we should be staying away from.
Or having some moderation.
Moderation. Okay. Number two, what is your second foundation of health?
Water, hydration. Our bodies can't last very long without any water, so consuming water is high on the priority list, in my opinion. Some guidelines I'd say for that is take your body weight, divide that by 2. That's how many ounces you should be drinking. And for people that we associate with who exercise and sweat a lot, I'd say a little bit more than that.
Okay, super cool. So good nutrition, lots of water. Number 3.
I would say movement would be the number 3.
Your favorite?
My favorite for sure. Super important. You could have the most perfect diet, but if you're sedentary, you won't make it. If you look at anyone who's been in a cast or been bedridden inside a bed, your body starts to wither away. And so you could have the best food, the best water, but if you're not moving, you're not going to last too long. Both for mental health, physical health, everything. So I've put a very emphasis on movement. And some general guidelines I'd say is getting in 30 minutes a day, getting your heart rate up. Movement can be anything, something you enjoy, a sport, walking your dog, or like us, going to the gym and training through ranges of motion.
I think so much of what the general population and what pop culture has done in terms of fitness and people being fit is they solely focus on aesthetics.
Right.
And what I love about conversion and what we try to teach people is so much more than that. It's about mobility.
Yeah.
And being mobile because
Right.
I mean, I think both of us want to have grandchildren someday, and we want to be able to move. Can you talk a little bit about just mobility and longevity in movement?
Yeah. I ask a lot of my new clients when they come in, why do they exercise? And they usually tell me what you just said. Aesthetic, I want to look good, I want to feel good. But I always ask them why and why and why and keep asking them why. And a lot of it's rooted deep down that they want to live a long time. And so they want to be able to play with their kids. They want to be able to be there for their grandkids. So the idea of moving through ranges of motion, I think of, even just going to the bathroom, being independent, getting off the couch. It's very important to our livelihood. And what I mean by going through full ranges of motion is that sitting all the way down, getting your butt below your knees, standing back up, being able to grab something overhead, being able to carry groceries, being able to do what I consider as being independent, being able to live life without the need for someone else. So, yeah, I'd say movement is pretty important for life.
Definitely. It's definitely the topic that is most communicated in our household.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Because it's so important.
And going even past that, prevention of injury too. So if you're moving, if you're being athletic, you're less likely to get injured. Or if you do slip, you're probably more likely to not be as hurt.
Right. And I know we can talk about each of these foundations of health further
Absolutely.
in detail. But just because this is such an impactful topic, can you just talk a little bit about, let's just say someone does not want to lift weights.
Mm-hmm.
They don't want to lift weights. They don't want to go to a gym. I mean, is there just something that they can do at home to stay active and to just help themselves longer?
Definitely. I guess it would depend if I was talking to this person, depending how old they are, what they look like. Are they overweight? Are they underweight? That would give me a better idea, but I always tell people everyone should be able to walk. So going outside, and for someone who is overweight, that is resistance training. So that is lifting weights. So if you've ever done a hike with a giant heavy bag or carried a kid, it's hard work. So imagine someone has 30 to 50 pounds extra on their body. That is resistance training. So for that person to just get started, that is exercise, and that's very hard. Put a weight vest on, do any calisthenic movement, it becomes a lot more challenging. So for that person, if they are overweight, I would suggest walking. If they're underweight, I would suggest calisthenics. Squatting, lunging, maybe jumping, pulling, pushing, doing push-ups with their body weight, seeing if they can hold themselves up on a bar or something. And all of those aren't weighted. Those are all just moving your body. And then core work, planks, sit-ups. Pick 3 or 4 movements, put a timer on for 10 to 15 minutes, and just move. That's what I'd say.
Awesome. Okay, so number 1 was nutrition.
Mm-hmm.
Number 2 was hydration.
Mm-hmm.
Number 3, movement.
Mm-hmm.
Number 4, let's talk about that.
Definitely number 4 would be sleep. Why I say sleep is recovery. And if you aren't sleeping, even all the things we just talked about, you won't be able to recover and you won't get better. So you could be having the best diet, the best training regimen, drinking the most amount of water, but if you're not sleeping, you're not going to grow. Your body is going to start breaking down. It needs sleep. So a generic guideline that I'd say for sleep is anywhere from 6 to 8 hours. Again, depending on the person, some people can get away with a little bit less. Some people can get away with implementing naps throughout their day. I know we don't have that luxury, but I would tell anyone to try to pay attention to it and maybe try their best. Right. So whatever, if they're a mom and they can't get much sleep or they got a job, try to prioritize it as much as you can.
How do you feel about the whole hustle culture where it's like,
I'll sleep later.
Yeah, I'll sleep later.
When I'm dead.
And when I'm dead,
Yeah.
and they're like, people are training off of like 3.5, 4 hours of sleep.
I guess if the person is doing it for fitness, like they're trying to, because I know it's popular to do 2-a-days. And if they have a job, they're waking up at 3 a.m. to go to do their fasted cardio. in that case, I would say probably sleep is better, and then do that later or another day. Someone who's trying to, hustle hard in their social life or their business life, I would again recommend implementing some sort of intermittent sleep. So maybe go, I don't know, a couple days, try to get good sleep, maybe the weekend. But again, that goes back to the same thing I said, is trying your best.
Right.
Someone who says that, that's what they've told their head and said, okay, that I need to do this. But that person, I would look at their complete schedule and figure out there's probably a way to maximize something.
And I mean, I know you because I go to bed with you every night. It's easy for you to fall asleep. You have no problem falling asleep. But for people like me, it's the exact opposite. We have trouble falling asleep. There's so many, you can be in bed and then you can fall asleep. So just recently I've been implementing different things to help me fall asleep better, like turning off electronics at a certain time, keeping my same dinner schedule at the same time every night, kind of creating that like wind down routine. No electronics, eating at the same time, and even like going as far as wearing an eye mask so that the room is completely black. So maybe you could talk a little bit about like, sure, you could be in bed, you could try to sleep, but also if your sleep is not good, then your recovery is not going to be as good, right? Correct.
Yeah, you could be in bed for 15 hours, but if it's not good sleep, then it's not doing much. There's also some people who are in bed for 6 hours and they're getting deep sleep for 6 hours, and that might be enough for them. So we could maybe do another video about actual night routine to get better sleep. But my recommendation is hopefully in those hours there's actually good sleep, and that's what you need for recovery. Resting is good, but actual sleep that's where you recover.
What would be your next foundation of health after sleep?
So number 5, I think sunlight. I think
my favorite.
Your favorite. We need that vitamin D, and I think we're blessed that we're in Orange County that we get some. Yeah. So I get a little bit more than 15 every day because I take the dogs for a walk at least once or twice a day when it's sunlight out. So I do that daily. So I encourage people to get outside. It's good for you, for the mind, for the soul, and for the vitamin D. I would try to prioritize that as much as you can. So if you're busy with kids, go outside and play with your kids. If you're busy on a work call, go outside, put your headphones in. Find ways to force yourself to get out there, whether that's right before the sun goes down, right when you wake up, midday. There's lots of ways to implement that if you can. And then for those who are in an area where there's not much sunlight, move. Just kidding. I would say maybe supplement some vitamin D, but trying as best you can when there is sunlight to absorb as much as you can.
Isn't there studies and actual proof that when you get first morning light and kind of that sunset light, that does help kind of reset your circadian rhythm? Yeah,
absolutely. Ideally, we'd want to get up, go to bed kind of at the same time and with that sun. Some of us are getting it before that. Some of us are getting after that. But the goal would be able to be with the sun and when it goes down and when it comes up. So trying as much as you can to get that sunlight.
Awesome. So one more time, we said
nutrition, water, sleep, movement, sunlight.
Okay.
A little out of order, but that's okay. They're all good.
Let's just get a little personal here. All right. So you and I, married, we both follow these foundations of health pretty well. You perfectly. I still got some work to do.
Easy with the perfect.
But you follow these foundations of health and you are a very healthy person. Let's take me, for example. I am a generally healthy person having some health issues following the foundations of health. So let's just say you met someone like me, came to you in your gym and was like, Josh, I'm doing this, I'm doing all these things, but I'm still experiencing XYZ. What would you tell them to do next?
Get some medical help, blood work, research. Go on the computer and type of what you're feeling. Sometimes it'll be displayed in your blood work, other times it won't. So a yearly physical, getting some blood work, annual blood work is always good. And then talk to people. I think talking to people, you're not alone. There's lots of people in this world, I think, that are going through similar things, whether that's hormonal, whether that's physical, emotional. I think there's a lot of people out there who want to help or who could help. So yeah, medical help, blood work, and then doing some research. And I think the biggest practice you can do is diary. Writing down your diet, your regimen, and then looking at it, studying it and saying, okay, this could be the reason. If not, then have that diary and then give that to someone who's knowledgeable.
It's such a good point, because sometimes there are some really silly, tiny little things that can cause a headache or an upset stomach. And unless you track it, or at least at the very least pay attention, then you kind of don't really know. But it's so when you just kind of get in tune with your body a little bit more, then you can start to make those connections and figure out what is causing X, Y, or Z and live a healthier life.
So if you guys like these conversations, give us a like, subscribe to the channel, and we'll see you guys in the next time.
Say bye, Lola. I can cut that out.